Next time you mention, I'm just walking right out. That's curious.
Corner 1, Freddy's Land. Reach out and
I know that now is probably a good time to catch up on like deferred maintenance, that sort of thing. But I know that if I don't, like, I kind of go on, I kind of change my oil based on feel. I'm like, this feels like I should change my oil. And
they have these little things,
enough.
it's a little sticker you can just put like right up in your window, and then you don't have to feel. You could just know. Yeah. Or use like your Jedi mind trick. It is time for oil.
Is it this?
Yeah, it looks very similar to that.
Yeah, so I have these, and I've never taken them out of my office for some reason. So that's where they stay.
Yeah, I feel like, Freddie, for you, with as many cars as you own, you probably need to keep track of what has an oil change and what doesn't.
Yeah. I lose track at like 4 cars. That's it. I can't keep up.
Yeah.
It's not even that. Like, the oil changes are fine. Like, I keep up to date with those. But it's all the other maintenance. So it's like, tie rods and control arms and making sure it's just doing the 150-point inspection, making sure the coolant's all topped up and making sure there's no air bubbles in the system. Because I drive a car and then I make a mental checklist of like, okay, this needs to be done, this needs to be done. Just like a lot of little things. But then you don't drive that car for a week or two and then you forget. You just completely forget. And then you come in the car like in another month and you're like, oh crap, this is like, I forgot all of this.
Yeah, this
still haven't changed that transmission fluid yet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what do you guys do as far as like deferred maintenance?
Luckily, and this Miata project is a pretty new-ish project. I mean, I've had the car for about a year, but it basically sat for 8 or 9 months before I did anything with it. So that was cool because it was a complete reset of all the maintenance. So I know like everything, all the fluids got changed, new brakes, new tires. I think the only thing I haven't done is windshield wipers because I keep forgetting because I don't drive the car in the rain. Because I really don't like it's convertible, right? The top's supposed to be down. So if it's raining, I just don't drive it. So that was cool because it was just a complete reset on all the fluids. And now I know, regardless of what the interval is, it's X miles from right now. With some of the other cars, and Freddie, I poked a little fun at you, but I totally understand what you're saying about the feel of it. I kind of have an idea that it was about 2 years ago that I did that same reset on the Blue R32. So I know like in the next few months, it's going to get another full reboot. I'm very spoiled in technology in the Golf R because it's like, hey, dummy, it's time to change your oil. And it just pops right up. Literally, it says, hey, Charles, you're dumb. Time to change your oil. Car's super mean.
They're a little harsh, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's a super
I tell you, man, these bougie yellow cars are just not friendly. The black R32, it's gonna get some modifications done, so that'll be another full reboot of maintenance. And then really the only one that I struggle to kind of keep up with is the car that my wife drives because I'm not in it, but every 2 or 3 weeks. So I rely on its warning systems and her to check. But I kind of have that mental checklist too. Okay, before I get in this car for anything more than a quick trip to the store, I'm going to pop the hood. I'm going to check the oil. I'm going to check the coolant. I'm going to check the washer fluid. If it's got power steering fluid, I'm going to check that. I'm going to just shine a flashlight on the brake fluid and make sure there's some in there and it's not black or nasty. I don't remember if I said check tire pressure or not yet, but I'll definitely check tire pressure. I listen when I start the car. How does it sound? Does it sound like it was ready to fire up right away? Or was it a slow crank? Okay, that one needs to go on the maintainer when I come back. Was it struggling a little bit and there's not a ton of fuel in it? All right, we need to get some good fresh quality fuel in this car and rev it out a little bit and open her up and let her breathe a bit. So I do sort of both with mental notes because you develop, it's weird to explain to someone. And I used to have this relationship with certain customers where it would be a period of time and you'd be like, man, I haven't seen this customer in a while. I feel like they're about due for an oil change. And sure enough, the next week, there they are with their appointment for an oil change or whatever it was. So it's weird to develop a relationship like that with a car. I don't know. I don't.
Oh yeah.
I think it's normal, but I'm also kind of goofy.
It's really interesting because I noticed that you mentioned your wife's car earlier, and I tend to be very hawkish on her maintenance because I know she's not going to really she's not into cars like I am, obviously. Right. And she drives a Hyundai Elantra with 250,000 miles. And I've tried to get her something nicer. She likes it, and I mean, honestly, it drives like it's new. There's no problems with it at all. But I try to get her the most like aggressive tires that I can. I try to get her the best brakes that I can. I just did brakes on her car, and now she has Brembo cross drilled on a Hyundai Elantra.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah. So just because, I want to make sure that if she needs to brake, that brake's going to be there. If she needs to be like, it rains a lot here. So if there's a transition between dry and wet, she's going to have the best tires that don't have any, like, she's not going to be able to, if she needs to stop, she will. But for stuff like that, like I've noticed that I've adopted a mindset that is no longer like get something that is the cheapest or like kind of mid-grade. I want to be like maxed out on a few specific things like tires, brakes, just like safety items. And then everything else I can kind of, pick and choose what I want. But are there stuff like that for you that you were like, I will not accept anything less than the absolute best?
Really quick. That's a great point. I'm just like, I'm dying over here thinking about your wife, like hanging out with her friends with her Hyundai Elantra. And then you like pull up in your Ferrari and she's like, oh, that's and like all her friends hate you. Like,
get in, honey. There's no time to explain.
Oh man. I think for me on that question, Freddie, it depends on the purpose of the car, right? So like, my wife's Touareg needs tires. So when she sees this, she's going to be like, you said all this stuff and you still got to put tires on my Touareg. So sorry, honey, I know your Touareg still needs tires. But for her car and like the family car, yes, everything's got to be top level. For me, it depends on the car, right? The Miata is an autocross car. So I don't really care if the wiper blades are great, but it does have to have amazing brakes. It does have to have the right tires. The R32 is kind of an OE preservation car, so it needs to have the right deal. I have more cars than that are probably the same way too. So I guess the short answer would be, yeah, I totally agree with you, exactly what you said. But very, very few things I'll actually end up cheaping out on with like getting just the lowest quality, because the whole car is a safety item. Every piece of that vehicle was designed with safety in mind, down to the way the buttons on the radio collapse if a body part hits them in a collision. So I don't love the idea of just, what's the cheapest one? I want that.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, for me, it's not necessarily about like what's the cheapest and what's the most expensive, because sometimes the most expensive is not the best. So if I'm going to like put something on my fiance's car or something and I want to make sure she has brakes that are going to work, I'm not just going to like buy the most expensive thing. I'm going to like spend like hours researching all these different brands and what, how these different things react with different rotors. And, these tires might be good in the rain, but they're not really good in the dry. They won't last a long time. I'll just pour in tons of research onto things. And I actually find a lot of the time that sometimes the best product for the situation is not always the most expensive.
Yeah, agreed.
Oh yeah. There has to be a bang for the buck factor for sure when you buy anything, and I think the research definitely goes into it. But actually, I like when you go to Advance, like they have the good, better, and best system. That's really cool. And a lot of times, like it's not a price tier thing. It's just like, here's what we recommend.
Yeah, I love that for windshield wipers, because like I can like I've made videos for Advance on windshield wipers, and I'm just like when I look at windshield wiper models, I'm like, Okay, one more time. What is what is the hierarchy here? And advanced
premium, extreme, extreme premium.
Advanced is just like, this is good, this is better, and this is like the best thing you can get. And I'm like, okay, this makes sense.
It's like, what do I get if it rains sometimes?
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
Reach out and just wipe it with a towel. You'll be fine.
Yeah. Actually,
I have done that once. Yes.
Yeah, Ben's car that he's just been driving, that he's borrowed from a friend, the Evo 10. It's a race car. It's like stripped out, and there's no climate control or anything, which means there's no heat and no AC.
And it has one windshield wiper.
Yeah, so it's been raining a lot on this trip, conveniently. But you found some creative ways to.
Well, I mean, it's not really creative. We just went to Advance and got the stuff that is like literally for those tasks. So on the inside, we have the anti-fog from Rain-X, which works amazingly, and then on the outside, we have water repellent Rain-X, which works amazingly. So that I can at least see out the front. So that's a plus.
Yeah, you got me.
One thing I don't get with those cars.
What's that?
One thing I don't get with those. I said one thing I don't get with those cars is that, like professional race cars have like AC and heating, right? Like they have an HVAC system.
Well, but those are cars that are supposed to race in all conditions. This is a time attack car, so it's only supposed to go out in all conditions. So it would never have a reason to go out in the rain. So that's
except for the fact that it's legal to drive on the road.
Yeah, it is still street legal, so there's that. Yeah,
and it's lightweight.
Yeah, it's an Evo 10 MR that weighs like 3,200 pounds, which is pretty impressive.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. But
okay, well, I mean, what would you rather have? An Evo 10 MR that weighs 3,250 pounds with AC, or what you got right now?
That's a solid point. That's a solid point.
Well, see, it depends on what you're using it for, because it'd be better to have the lighter car for the track, even though that means sacrificing the street.
What he needs is a quick release HVAC system.
You'd be using it for a road trip.
You just
pull it out.
Yeah.
Actually, I think they make little lighter heaters that you can put for the windshield to keep the defrost down.